Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining today's webinar by Les Roches Global Hospitality Education. My name is Conor Jackson. I am the Associate Director of Postgraduate Admissions for Les Roches, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this session today, discussing how can an individual enhance their career through a manager in training program. So the session, we're going to get underway shortly. I'm going to leave a couple of minutes for everyone to join from wherever they are around the world. If you are joining us on any of our platforms, feel free to post in the chat where you're joining us from. It'd be great to see where you're connecting from around the world. I'm going to leave a few minutes for others to join across our platforms on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. And hopefully we'll have a good audience this evening with a good discussion topic. So please do feel free to pop in the chat where you're joining us from. I can see people joining from Nigeria. Hello and welcome from the US, from Europe, from Spain, from France, Germany. Good evening, Saudi Arabia. Welcome. So I'm going to leave a few moments for people to join. Continue sharing where you're joining from, and we're going to get started in just a few moments. From all parts of the world, we have Italy, the UK, Madrid, Chile, Tunisia. From Greece, from the UAE. Thank you to everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you. We have a great lineup this evening with some of our future students joining us at Les Roches this semester, and also a special guest from the industry and one of our alumni as well. So we're going to give a couple of minutes, as I mentioned, for everyone to join. People from Switzerland joining, from Germany again, hello, India, Tunisia, Egypt, Zanzibar, Iran, welcome to you all. I hope you're well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And we'll be getting started very, very shortly. Tonight's topic, as I mentioned, we're going to be discussing around manager in training programs, how they can support in the career enhancement for a hospitality professional. We're going to hear from some of our future students joining us this intake. We have an industry professional joining us as well. And we have some exciting discussion topics to bring you. So please do continue to share where you're joining from. And throughout the session as well, if you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to discuss your questions as well. So I think we have quite a few people joining across our different platforms. Thailand, Georgia, I see, Spain. Good evening. So I think we can get started. So as I mentioned, for those of you who are just joining, my name is Conor Jackson. I am the Associate Director of Postgraduate Admissions at Les Roches. And I'm delighted this evening to be joined by an array of different guests this evening. As I mentioned, some of our future students who are coming to join us in Les Roches. So first off, I'd like to welcome to Leticia. Leticia, after completing her bachelor's degree in Madrid, she has gained some experience in the Four Seasons and in Marriott properties, and she will now be joining our master's in international hotel management. So good evening to you, Leticia.
Thank you very much for having me here tonight.
Thank you. Secondly, to Andrea. Welcome, Andrea. So following her bachelor's studies in tourism, she's gained some experience in events and marketing and will now as well join, along with Leticia, on the international hotel management master's. So welcome to you, Andrea.
Good evening, everyone.
And to Charlotte as well. So Charlotte has completed her studies at the Hotel School The Hague in the Netherlands. And following some internship experience in marketing, she will now be joining our Masters in Marketing Management for Luxury Tourism. Welcome, Charlotte.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
And also a big welcome to Dimitar, originally from Bulgaria. You've completed your studies in the Netherlands, and following some internship experiences, he will now also be joining our Les Roches Marbella campus on the Masters in International Hotel Management. Thank you for joining us, Dimitar.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. And finally to Reda, who is joining us from ESCP Business School. He did his studies in management. He's gained numerous experiences through some of his extracurricular roles during his studies. And he will also be joining Charlotte on the Masters in Marketing and Management for Luxury Tourism. Good evening to you, Reda.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. So these are our student guests. I'm delighted to welcome from different parts of the world who will be joining us in Les Roches at our Marbella campus. And finally, but last but not least, I'd like to welcome our special guest this evening with over 15 years of experience across Southern Europe in the hospitality sector for brands such as Accor, Sofitel, the St. Regis, including roles in front office, hotel manager, GM. And now, most recently, the director of rooms at the St. Regis in Cairo. Not only does he have all of this incredible experience, but he's also a graduate from our Les Roches MBA program at our Swiss campus. So I'd like to give a warm welcome to Alan. Thank you very much for joining us, Alan. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Conor. How are you doing, guys? Good to be here. Thank you very much for hosting me today.
Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for your time. So I want to jump straight into the topic with everyone. Obviously, I have some few discussion topics and questions to go through, but I think maybe to set the scene and for our viewers watching and for our future students here who have just started or starting their journey into the hospitality industry, the manager in training programs, for those of you who may know familiarly or may not know too much, are typically 12 to 24-month programs offering a candidate the chance to rotate between different departments in a hotel, in a hospitality business. This gives you the necessary operational skills and leadership exposure to accelerate your career and hopefully in an effort to fast track your career into the industry. And so I wanted to start perhaps, Reda, I can start with you with this particular question, but I wanted to understand from what you've seen about manager in training programs. Obviously, a lot of our students here are of the Gen Z population. Do you feel like this has become quite a popular route for your generation in terms of career progression and career opportunities? How do you feel about this, Reda?
That's actually a good question. I think, in my opinion, the MIT by its essence, the fact that it's an immersion into the hospitality, the fact that you get into rotate between many different departments, you get into delve in right into departments and develop synergies between each and every one of them. It's kind of becoming very popular because I think that our generation nowadays is more looking into developing versatility as you cultivate more flexibility in the field. So definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andrea, what about yourself? Obviously, most of you guys are part of Gen Z, and one of the biggest factors is that career progression and rapid career progression. Do you see MIT programs as being a strong solution that can support you in this respect?
Yes, I completely agree with Reda too. I think that, I think it's a great way to reach a managerial position in a short period of time and also to acquire much knowledge and to immerse yourself in experience in which you can try many different options and many different departments and learn about them. And also having the opportunity to work with a senior manager is also very enriching for us. So I think it's a great way to develop your career.
Absolutely. Alan, I wanted to bring you in onto this topic as someone who's working in the hospitality industry and seeing this generation move through the industry. Do you see manager in training programs becoming more popular for young graduates looking to develop in the industry? Are they looking more for these kind of programs to have that quick progression, or are they still considering the roles maybe at more of an associate level to then develop through the business?
This question is for me. Sorry, I couldn't hear the
yes,
first.
Yes, sorry, yes,
okay.
For you, Alan. Yes.
Sorry, guys. I, to be honest, definitely agree with what Reda and Andrea said. Of course, very correctly. And from my personal opinion and from my personal experience, MIT is a great programs, really helping you to see different aspects of different divisions, different departments within this time. It depends actually on the person itself. Somebody who is looking for rapid career, let's say like that, changes, they would definitely, I believe, will go for MIT. Of course, you have to sacrifice a little bit salary scales over there. You know how it works. Versus somebody who might not have the confidence to go to certain positions or don't have the experience and wants to go just from the beginning and take step by step. So it's actually, I believe, depending on the person itself, on the students themselves, in my personal opinion, to be honest.
Okay, amazing. And if you don't mind me asking, Alan, is this something that I've had a look at your obviously career from your time at Les Roches and over the last 15 years? Is a manager in training program something you have experienced yourself?
Me personally, not, because to be honest, I'm working in hotels since 2004, since I was 17. It's already 19 years, with a small break of 1 year in Les Roches during the MBA. So I started as a waiter, let's say like that, in Accor back in 2004. So I personally did not experience, but I have, in my career, I have worked together, I have trained a lot of people, different kind of internships from different international schools. And currently we have also in this hotel a voyager, which is doing his MIT for 16 months.
Okay, amazing. And how did you, in terms of your experience then, obviously you haven't gone through a management training program. How was that journey for you? Did you find the progression to be consistent over time? Was it quicker or slower? Do you feel like a management training program could have benefited you in your journey?
Yeah, it's a good question. Time changes, of course, times changes. Like by the time I was starting, it was almost 20 years ago. Today is a little bit different. Different generations, of course, more like I believe Generation Z have less patience and they want to grow as fast as possible. And there's a little bit of this concept in this kind of stuff. But in my personal opinion, my personal experience, I stayed with Accor for 11 years. At some point of these 11 years, I had to be patient for XYZ reasons. But in general, I suggest to really go out of the comfort zone whenever we feel that it's already, I feel comfortable, I know the place, people knows me and stuff like that. It is good to go out of the comfort zone because this is actually how you grow personally, and this is how you learn more and you gain experience. MIT's programs is one of these kind of programs that you staying for X amount of time, and you're going already as a manager in training, so you're training already on a junior manager level, let's say like that, and you are more or less ready to take a junior position after you finish the MIT. But of course, it's again based on the background of each individual, based on the skills and based on the will to succeed in that. Because if we are talking about luxury hotels, the demands are much higher, the details are much higher. So there is few aspects on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there in terms of Generation Z having maybe little patience in terms of that respect, and MIT programs obviously give young graduates an avenue to, let's say, accelerate their leadership careers
yes.
through the industry. To the audience that's watching, if you have any questions as well, please feel free to pop them into the comments. I'd love to hear from you and see if you have any questions on this topic around MIT programs. But Dimitar, I wanted to bring you in as you're looking to study the hotel management masters, obviously with Les Roches, and you're joining us in September. When you're looking at manager in training programs, what do you see as the key strengths as an MIT program, as opposed to maybe the traditional progression up to a manager role? What do you feel that an MIT has as those core strengths that it can bring to you?
Thank you for your question, Conor. Well, me personally, when I look at the whole situation, I think I would really appreciate this 360-degree view of the company, first of all. because kind of as a young graduate, I am not fully committed yet to my career path. So I think I can really find my passion, I would say. And furthermore, I think these sacrifices that Alan mentioned initially, for instance, with the salary, are actually necessary for us because the growth opportunities and all the other benefits are really important in these programs.
Yeah, amazing. And Leticia, I wanted to pose the same question to yourself as you're looking to. Obviously, you're also going to be joining the hotel management program, and that's the industry in terms of the hotel sector that that you're looking to move into. What for you are the key strengths in terms of an MIT program?
So I would say that not just like standing out and in general, but so like Alan said, he did not need to do the MIT program to grow up in the ladder. But for example, I believe that it is a great way to stand out and making yourself known around the company, so people already see that you're passionate about what you're doing. And also, what I think before, as Andrea and Alan was saying, is that yes, it is a great way to enhance your personal development because it brings like the books to real life, which is always a positive way of learning and so getting more motivated in the hotel industry. So not just staying in one place, but moving around. I think it for me will make me much more motivated in seeing what I really want to do or where I really want to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charlotte, I wanted to come to yourself here now, but I'm going to come with the opposite side of this question. And if any, do you see any potential disadvantages of doing an MIT program as opposed to taking the time to progress through an organization naturally?
Honestly, apart from the salary, which it's also a very personal value, right? If you want a lot of salary in the beginning or not, I don't really see any disadvantages. I like what Leticia just said. It shows commitment to the company and to your career path. And besides teaching you the hard facts, I think it also teaches you a lot of soft skills. So even on that side, there is not much critique that I have on these programs personally.
Okay, no worries, amazing. We have a couple of questions in the chat, which I'm going to bring in to get some feedback on. We have a question here from someone who's currently studying and was wondering if they should have some work experience prior to applying for an MIT program, or if they should apply straight after to graduation. Alan, maybe I can come to you on this question. What feedback would you have for this individual?
Definitely apply while you are studying. You don't have anything to lose. What you are doing is actually you are gaining. It's a very good question. You are gaining experience from interviews, and when companies interviewing you, no matter level of position, they want to see how you react in this, if you are ready for their establishment, for their organization. So even if you are not, even if you, by the time you graduate, you'll do, let's say, 10 or 20 or 100 interviews, you're just becoming better and better in terms of how to behave during interview. And in the second part, of course, you might get an MIT or a job before you graduate, which is very important. So you actually keep yourself busy. You know what you're going to do. You know what you're going to do. Of course, if some people prefer to fully focus on their studies during their uni times, let's say like that, it's of course normal to take a little bit of vacation after that and start applying on the clear head. But I was doing myself because when I was going to Les Roches, I resigned from a general manager position. I went for 1 year MBA, and I was applying after the first career day that we had for 6 months, something like that. So I definitely recommend to do it during the studies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a key thing here. I believe with the MIT programs, offering the substantial experience that you can gain through the diversification in terms of the departments and the functions in the hotel industry, that there's a sort of almost a design behind the MIT programs of providing a bridge between the education that the participants will receive at hospitality management universities like Les Roches and then that operational reality of leading in a luxury hotel environment. And necessarily not having any experience is not a bad thing, because you may come in with an open mind around the different departments, around the experience. And so I think, having that studies and then moving into the MIT program is just as beneficial as perhaps also having some experience. I think in that respect, there's no wrong answer that you can choose. I think it's much the individual's journey and what they're looking for as part of that process.
If I also may add to what Charlotte said, which was very, very spot on in regards to the MIT, and that we have to sacrifice a little bit of salary, let's say like that. If you look into it as a long term, you're going to spend an X amount of time for the MIT program, but then you are going out of this program already manager or junior manager at minimum. Okay, so if you have a look on this in the long term, you're actually not losing money. You are, if not even, you are even higher after you finish the MIT. So it's really, really beneficial. I mean, I wish when I was younger, I was going through the MIT when I saw how it works when I joined Les Roches, to be honest.
Absolutely. And so I think we've touched upon a couple of topics there that are quite interesting in terms of development through MIT programs. And so, Andrea, I wanted to come and ask you this kind of question around the key skills. So if you're undertaking an MIT program, what do you feel are the key skills that you would expect to be developing through this kind of program?
I think many different skills will be developed, but maybe to feel more sure about myself and to put my decisions and be more sure about myself, I think, and how to talk to people, how to be a manager, how to be a leader, how to lead a team. I think that's very important, and it's something that you don't get till you are really in the place and you have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that experiential learning that you'll develop through this kind of program is really key. And Reda, maybe I can come to you with the same question. Are there any key skills that you would expect to develop through an MIT program? Are there any key skills that you believe that you would really gain from doing this kind of opportunity?
From my perspective, there are a lot of many skills at stake when one considers an MIT. I would rank first the fact that you're going to grow out to be much more adaptable in terms of your experience in various departments. You'll be also getting the chance to develop a more comprehensive understanding of the industry in general. And so aside from all the leadership, team management, the improved communication, from the fact that you're going to be developing many synergies between departments, I think that one of the other most important skills are the fact that you're going to be more culturally sensitive and responsive to minute change. And finally, I would say that the more important one is you're going to be more adept at navigating through crisis management, like problem solving, in many areas of hospitality.
Yeah, absolutely. Some key skills there, and we've had another question in here, which is a little bit of a test of knowledge, as you guys are just starting your journey in the hospitality industry. But I think it's also an important area to look at and advise and support people on watching this this webinar, is in terms of the kind of brands that offer MIT programs. I don't know, Dimitar, is there specific ones that you have seen that have stood out for you that you may be considering as part of your journey?
Well, I have been interested a bit in the Marriott Voyage program. I think their approach is interesting. I was also interested in how many people actually they accept yearly. I saw between 500 and 800, which is, considering the scale, maybe not that much, depending how you look at it. But yeah, most of the things we've covered about it, that the time period, what it entails. But yeah, it really feels like it gives a lot of flexibility for the future in terms of career path. And if it was up to me, I would definitely consider such an option for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the Marriott one is one that is very well known to a lot of people. Alan, you wanted to jump in on this topic?
Yes, please. Working in Marriott already 2 years, I cannot not speak about it very briefly. I mean, Marriott is the largest hotel company in the world. We have almost 8,500 hotels worldwide. I'm not trying to promote the company right now. I'm just want really, for some people might not know, some students, future students. We are opening hotels like almost changing our shirts, let's say like that. So the company is constantly growing. There is a constant need of any from junior level managers, senior manager, executive committee, general managers. So definitely, if you knowing or you're not knowing, definitely Marriott is a safe option to go, because if you show yourself, if you are a dedicated person, if you are eager to learn and you have this passion of hospitality passion within you, it's a great organization, Marriott, honestly. And there is countless, and I really mean it, countless of opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yes, as one of the biggest brands there is, the opportunities and the number of hotels that are being developed every day is giving more and more opportunity to develop the career of young graduates into that managerial field. And just to add on to for the question there, obviously you also have a variety of other brands such as Mandarin Oriental, who offer their Rising Fans program. You have Rosewood Hotel Group, who offer a manager training program as well, the Four Seasons, Accor with their Inspire program. So there really is lots of opportunities out there in terms of manager training programs. Laetitia, I want to come back to you and ask you a question on that as well. Are there any that have stood out for you in terms of what they offer? Is there anything that you've maybe seen when you have looked at some of these programs, or have you started to look at them as you step into your journey with Les Roches?
So I have, as I'm also working in Marriott in Madrid, I'm always on our system, in our internal system, looking at these programs and the Become programs as well. And I think, as Alan said, all of them are amazing, but the one in Marriott, so the best thing about it is that so apart from learning, you're also networking with the global colleagues through all the social collaboration tools, and also you're engaging with the Marriott senior leaders, which, so for example, for me, Marriott is my passion, so this would be something I would be looking into, because one of the things is the networking, which will help you grow faster in this program. But also before the master, I also looked in the Rosewood MIT program. But even though I kept looking, the name that kept popping on my system was Les Roches. So before the MIT program, I wanted to enhance my knowledge in a master first before doing the MIT program, which I will be planning to do as soon as I finish the master.
Okay, we have a big support for Marriott here tonight. They're going to be very pleased, I think. But I mean, with a name like Voyage for the program, you can see how it's very attractive in terms of the global opportunities, the hands-on training in all of the different disciplines, rotating through the different departments. And you mentioned Rosewood as well, which is another interesting one that I had a look into myself to just have a bit of an understanding about some of the different MIT programs. And one thing that stood out for me about the Rosewood one was the 4 areas of learning that they focused on, which I think was really interesting, was the experiential learning, which as part of the MIT program is the core element and represents probably 70% of the program. But then they also had areas around classroom learning, individual learning, and also this kind of executive leader series, similar to what you mentioned, Laetitia, in terms of engaging with senior leaders. And I think that's one of the biggest things you see with MIT programs, is that whilst you're learning on the job, there is also not a forgetful aspect in terms of maybe classroom learning, as you're still students, you're still learning every day, but also that need to network and connect with the industry. Charlotte, how important do you think that is as part of an MIT program? Obviously, we have that component of professional development in terms of leadership skills, but how important do you feel that aspect of networking and connection is for you during that time?
I mean, networking and connection is always important, I think, in any industry to foster growth, to foster connections within the company, to also see different perspectives, to understand different needs, which at the end of the day makes companies grow and makes company better. But what I also wanted to say, maybe to the last point, if I may, like to the different programs, I think what's really important is that you can relate to the company. So Laetitia loves Marriott, but then if you are really a Rosewood fan or Four Seasons, I think it's like that really like helps to go through that and to be successful with what you do if you can relate to the brand. But like, yeah, networking in any way, I think it's important, and to enhance your soft skills, your communication, to gain different perspectives, have a cultural understanding, broaden your horizon. I think that helps.
Yep, absolutely, and I think as well you mentioned a really good point there in terms of being sort of affiliated with a brand and almost being aligned with the values of that brand. I think is really important. As you mentioned, Laetitia, she's been working in the Marriott, so she's probably had that alignment in terms of personal and professional values she's seen in the company, and I think that is something that is really important nowadays. And when you're working in an organization, whether it's hospitality or any other industry, is that your personal values and professional values and the business values are very aligned in that process. Not just obviously the fact that you're really interested in that brand, but the values that they uphold, I think is really really key. Reda, is this something that you have considered when you've started to look into MIT programs and thought about enhancing your career? Is that alignment with your personal values? How important is that for you?
For sure, that's again really important. Thanks for saying these points, Charlotte. Really good points. Aside from that, I would add that networking was always important to me, to the extent where it allows for deeper introspection, because you're getting advice from the external, how you can improve yourself. And so being guided by mentors is really crucial, in a way that you would be guided to not only discover and amplify your strength, but also in a way you would uncover some areas for improvement. So this kind of guided self-reflection is really valuable for both personal growth and professional development, as it offers both understanding of yourself and also the world around you. So it's kind of this fusion between, like exposure and introspection that, in my opinion, truly augments personal development. So in essence, it's where professional growth and personal evolution really converge.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, as you mentioned, that professional growth is something that you're looking for in this opportunity, but that personal aspect and those personal values and still personal growth is really important as well. I wanted to bring in a question from the audience, which I think is quite interesting, and perhaps Alan, to get your feedback on this topic. So the question is, what can we do to our profiles to be more attractive when applying to this kind of program? So how can a young graduate stand out when applying? Dimitar mentioned some numbers in terms of people maybe joining these programs. So in terms of applications, there must be thousands of applicants to this kind of opportunity. What can these young graduates do to make themselves stand out in this competitive environment?
Well, it's also a very good question. To be honest, the first and main thing is that when you are in this kind of institutions like Les Roches, Glion, you already, I'm very honest, not promoting again Les Roches. I mean, I love the school. I had the best year of my life when I was doing MBA, honestly. But I've seen it myself as well, like being a graduate of Les Roches, or when you are an MIT and you're currently studying and you're applying and being part of this kind of institutions, you already standing out from the rest of the competition, let's say like that. This is number one. Number two, of course, it is also have to do with personality, because when people, majority of times, of course, people looking to your experience, again, it depends, but majority of times when you do the interview, people nowadays will look more for your personality for this kind of positions rather for your experience, because big organizations like Marriott, Four Seasons, Rosewood that you mentioned, and all these companies, Accor, they are looking for the personality, and once the personality is there, the soft skills, let's say like that, can be taught in the field during work, during this MIT program and stuff like that. So I would say definitely you stand out already being a Les Roches student, but also be prepared for the interviews, not being yourself actually, and being very open of what you are looking, because there is so much opportunities. You don't want to end up somewhere that you will not be happy, let's say like that, because there is opportunity for everyone, especially in hospitality and especially post-COVID era, because really hospitality suffers now from lack of manpower in all over the world.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for that great advice. And Andrea, I wanted to come to you and maybe flip the question a little bit, if I may. And in terms of how do you think you could make yourself stand out when applying for these kind of programs? What do you feel like are the key aspects that you would look to utilize from your profile to make yourself attractive in terms of applying for these kind of programs?
So in my particular case, I would say that for the experience that I have previously, I discovered my passion for F&B, and always standing up for my passion for it and how happy I am when I'm working in this. It always catches the attention, because there's nothing more important than enjoying what you're doing, as Alan was saying. And I think that's the key to be the best in the work and to make yourself standing up. So I would say that it will be the biggest strength in my case. But of course, I am looking forward to start the master and to learn more about every department, get every opportunity, and develop myself.
Yeah,
if I can add also to what we both said, almost forgot, make sure guys, that your LinkedIn profile is updated and you have a professional photo there and everything is in line there, because LinkedIn, it's a very, very powerful tool, and people will be searching for you after the interviews in this platform.
Yes, I think that's a very, very good piece of advice that we can all follow. You know, the personal branding aspect is sometimes often put aside, maybe, and I think that's a really important aspect in terms of, you know, for example, the students joining us today and highlighting themselves in this manner is part of their personal brand and developments. And I think that's a really key aspect in terms of your LinkedIn or any other networks you use, maybe Hosco, platforms like that, where everything is up to date, relevant, and highlights the best version of yourself as well, in terms of your skills, your experiences, and what you can bring to an employer. Dimitar, I wanted to come to you with a question in terms of now you're embarking on this journey with Les Roches. How do you see this supporting you and preparing you for these next steps towards maybe joining an MIT program? Obviously, you have studied your bachelor's degree in hospitality in the Netherlands and have some internship experiences. So now with this master's, what are you hoping to achieve in these next steps?
Thank you for your question. Well, I see continuing this intercultural environment with people around me who have the same passion as next step on the ladder. I think whether or not I join MIT in the future is not that relevant, but being prepared for it is. And yeah, obviously, I think what Les Roches offers for me as a structure, I've chosen it exactly because of what it teaches with the different subjects of the program, and it covers a wide a lot of aspects that I'm interested in, and I think yeah, it will prepare me for the future, if I may say so.
Amazing. And Charlotte, what about yourself? You know, you're moving into a slightly different realm from Dimitar in terms of luxury tourism, maybe focus more on marketing. How do you see your journey at Les Roches supporting you in these career steps, whether it be moving towards an MIT program, having that option with the connections that Les Roches can provide, or other opportunities that you may seek?
I think so. We've now talked a lot about like soft skills, communication, interaction, connection, and obviously that's going to continue to grow. But what Les Roches really gives me as well is the hard facts, the knowledge, the tools, the models, and the maybe also the pattern of thinking. You know, like we obviously learn hard facts, but we also learn how to be critical and how to think strategically. And then for me specifically, I'll gain more knowledge about marketing because now I've studied in my bachelor's hospitality management, which is more general. So now it's like a specific field that I'll be gaining knowledge in, which will help me in my future career because it's something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, amazing. And leading on to this topic, we have a question in the comments, which I think is quite relevant here for yourself, Alan, for these young students who are joining Les Roches in the coming weeks now. What advice would you give to our five guests here tonight and to the many hundred others who are joining Les Roches campuses in the coming weeks? What would be your advice to them starting this journey?
Wow, it's like really taking me back a few years now, like four years, I think. It's an amazing feeling, to be honest. Like I'm getting stressed a little bit only from reading this question, to be honest, from in a good way saying. Now, I was studying in Les Roches in Switzerland, and really, I will talk about my experience in there. And advice to be prepared. Be prepared that the first, as we used to call it, the first 2-3 months will be your honeymoon months, when everything starts very slow until you get to know each other, until you get to know the professors and everyone. And then when the first project starts kicking in, that's when all the projects will be coming together. So this is where the group projects are coming and all this kind of stuff. So it's a very, very dynamic environment, multicultural, which is a huge benefit when you're going out of these kind of institutions to work in the fields you already acquired with different cultures. Reda touched based on that as well as Dimitar, very important aspect in this kind of jobs. Yeah, the first period will be very smooth, I would say, the first 2 months, and then it starts gradually to be more intense and more intense, and this is where you really try your skills and your dedication, let's say like that. But for sure, it will be an amazing time for whoever is joining, guys. It's really, I'm telling you, until today, I'm saying this was the best year of my life, and I'm not trying to promote Les Roches. I'm just being very honest with you.
Nice. I mean, it's amazing to hear, and I think a lot of our Les Roches alumni echo the same sentiment. It's something that I hear many times during a day and during my weeks when connecting with some of our other Les Roches alumni as well. That feeling of Les Roches is obviously not just a school, but a way of life. Is something
a way of life. Yes,
they really buy into that, and I think if I can add, that would be my piece of advice from seeing all of our alumni and our students is that really grasping that energy and riding that wave and really taking part in all the opportunities that come your way, whether they are opportunities for professional or opportunities for personal growth as well. Some of you may be moving from different parts of the world to come and study with Les Roches in our campuses in Switzerland and in Spain as well. So, that big change in your life, not be scared about it, embrace it, and embrace all the opportunities that come with it as well, I think is a really, really key aspect. We have another. I'm going to take a couple more questions in the chat. We have some interesting questions here. One of which is around the geographical location when looking at different opportunities? Is it better to try something more far away, maybe in a more exotic country, or perhaps an opportunity in the regional area that you're looking to stay in after? Laetitia, what's your thoughts on this? For yourself, are you seeking opportunities to expand your horizons and maybe travel, or are you looking for an opportunity? You mentioned you've been working in Marriott in Madrid. Would you look to stay in Madrid, or would you look to travel a little bit?
So I was just like thinking that for example, I don't think that going to an exotic country would make you grow up in the ladder. I think it's more depending on your knowledge and where you want to go. So, for example, in my hotel, being only 1 year, I've grown up in the ladder without having to go to Costa Rica, for example. So I think the more knowledge you have, you can go anywhere you want. But I think it's what you've learned in the MIT programs, in the masters. Now, if you want to go to an exotic country to grow in the ladder, you can feel free. But in my opinion, I would like to say closer to my home and grow as much as I can with all the knowledge.
Yeah, of course. And Dimitar, I want to come to yourself because you're from Bulgaria. You studied in the Netherlands. Now you're coming to Marbella to study with Les Roches. What's your thoughts on this? You've traveled a little bit in terms of your studies and experience. So what would you feel in this scenario?
Yes. Well, actually, ideally, I think this decision usually needs to be aligned with what's the final goal of a person, right? Actually, I have some plans for like entrepreneurship towards the end, but right now at the start of my career, I just want to explore maybe around Europe. That's why I moved to the Netherlands for my bachelor's. And I'm not exactly sure if the exotic country or just going far away is directly correlated with performance. There could be some correlation. Maybe it's just about how you feel safe and happy. And then, yeah, I think there's growth opportunities everywhere around the globe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a lot about a personal decision, and if you're looking for trying something new, trying something different, if you want an experience away from home or away from where you've been studying, then it's definitely something to consider. And as well, looking around the industry of some emerging markets, some areas where there is expertise. You look at areas around the Middle East where luxury hospitality is growing at an exponential rate, and perhaps that is something that you are looking to move into or you want to gain some experience in, and perhaps that may be the best moment for you now for 1 or 2 years, but then in another point in your career you may look to move on to something else. Alan, what about yourself? You've traveled a little bit in the Southern Europe region in terms of Greece, Italy, Cyprus, Egypt. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's very good questions actually to the students. So very well done, guys. Keep it rolling. Yeah, I would definitely recommend to. It's a very nice question because it says, should we go far or should we stay where we plan to stay? I would definitely recommend grasp this opportunity to go as far as you can. If it's next country, go there. If it's next continent, go to the other continent. Definitely, because if you eventually planning to go back to your roots, you will always be able to do so. And if there is opportunity given to you today or tomorrow to go somewhere, it's definitely go there, experience this amazing experience, a different culture, different people, because in this job in hospitality field, you're going to need this, and this is one of the key skills, that key elements is to know how to behave, to know how to understand different cultures. I mean, it's a unique experience. For me, this is the 7th country that I am in, and first time in Middle East, Africa, let's say, like, okay, Egypt, geographically wise, is Africa, but business wise is more Middle East country, let's say like that. So this is, I'm really definitely telling you guys, if you have an opportunity to go somewhere out of your comfort zone, out of where you want to be in the future, definitely go for it, because you will have a different approach later on for many things.
Yeah, absolutely. Reda, I saw that you were nodding along and smiling along with Alan's answer there. That sort of trial while you're young approach of experiencing different cultures and countries is something that you are keen to explore as well.
Of course, I mean, as you might not have heard it, I've been through ESCP, so every year I had the chance to immerse myself in a different city every time. And so, as Alan well said it, the further you can be, the better for you, because then you're outside of your roots, you can grow better and deeper. And so, answering the question more deeply, I would say exotic countries can also be a good option to the extent where is going to be more of an experience than a position or status or skill. It's much more than that, because you get to immerse yourself in such a different setting that it's transformative, really. And so the trial while you're young resonates indeed deeply with me, in the way that our youth is the only time where we're most adaptable, more flexible in terms of the mind. And so, as we're open to learning, when we're most adaptable, we can take much more risk without significant consequence. So, if there is a better time to take the risk, I would say it's now. It's not until then.
Charlotte, you seem to agree as well.
Yeah, I do think you can train your mind to stay flexible. And I do think it's also a personal decision, like Leticia said. But yeah, it's a way to experience cultures. It's a way to learn languages. I think that's like that for me. I love learning languages, so that's always a great opportunity to also do that.
Yeah, I think that's a big aspect when you're looking at travel, is the cultural aspect. Alan, please, yes.
Sorry, if I can add to what we all said, like in practice, like to say it very bluntly, is if you stick, this is how I see it might be wrong, but if you stick to the place that you are currently, which is completely not bad, it's an amazing thing to do, but if you in the meantime experience something different when you are going to your business, either as an entrepreneur, either working for a company, you have this different perception of somewhere else that you worked in 1 or 2 or 3 places, that you can really implement it locally where you want to end up. And if you haven't traveled, if you haven't experienced, unfortunately, you will not have this idea, or you will not have this approach which you could gain from this kind of exposure.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. I don't think it's a question of. I mean, the question that we had was mentioned around exotic countries. So, of course, we're thinking of very nice islands far away that we could travel to. But I think it's also it's not a bad idea in terms of, like Alan mentioned before, in a different country next door or a different continent next door. It doesn't have to be a hop around the other side of the world to have this experience in terms of the cultural diversity. But it's an opportunity somewhere else to explore a different culture. Cultures across the world do not all expect the same service in terms of hospitality. They all expect different things. They all want things in a different manner. There are different cultural nuances that are really important to understand as well. And I think whether it's just going from Europe down to maybe Northern Europe to Southern Europe, or Middle East to North Africa, as Alan mentioned, is in his experience, in Egypt, it's a North African country, but maybe with a little bit more of a Middle East mentality and mindset. So, and those are things you can't really learn in the classroom, and that experience you get whilst having these opportunities is really, really important. I'm conscious of time as well. We have around 4 more minutes left of this session. I wanted to maybe finish off with the headline of this session in terms of a management training program and how it can enhance your career. And I would love to get everyone's viewpoints on this. So, Leticia, I'm going to start with yourself. How do you feel like an MIT program can enhance your career?
So just by that question, I would say that it will make you, I would say, stepping out of your comfort zone. So not just by showing that you are more eager, but also by taking new challenges. So I think that would make the career to be more enhanced, and also by having more discussions with other passionate people about the business is always going to help you be a better manager. And also, as talking with Alan, for example, it just makes you, because ambition is contagious, it just makes you more passionate about starting to do a master, an MIT program. And also in the program, you can brainstorm with other future managers. So I would say like one of the benefits of attending MIT would be the unique learning environment in creating innovation, and also the projects, not just in the hotel industry, but for example, I would like to go into the corporate side of the hotels. So it also would help me grow in the management, but not just in hotels, also in the more corporate areas.
Amazing. Charlotte, same question to yourself. How do you feel this can help enhance your career in a management training program? What do you think it can bring for you?
So I loved what Leticia just said. Ambition is contagious. I learn over people, and that's the way to learn over people. I want to go into strategic development of properties, but in order to do that, you need to actually understand properties. You need to understand the culture, the brand, the way things work, because only thinking and not knowing won't help you long term, in my belief. So really, that practical insights into how everything works would be my biggest benefit that I see from these programs.
Amazing. Reda, what about yourself? You've talked about traveling and different cultures and moving around. How do you see an MIT program enhancing your career in that respect?
Once again, and that goes a long way with travel too. To me, an MIT program is not just an academic path or just like a simple stepping stone. Let's say it's really transformative experience. And so, in terms of the personal development, the multi-departmental rotations that one would go through, the participant, the aspiring manager wouldn't just gather skills. It would allow him to face real world challenges. And so he would be pushed out of his comfort zone in a way, fostering adaptability. And so this real world aspect is the thing that is going to allow him to hone his problem solving skills and cultivate a mindset of resilience and perseverance. And so, given the holistic view, the 360 view of the MIT program, it perfectly aligns with my aspirations. Actually, I'm indeed considering applying to one, as it seems like it's the ideal platform, bridging the academic with the dynamic world of hospitality. So it's indeed setting a promising career ahead. And so with an MIT, I think it's a wise compass to have up your sleeve, to add on to your growing journey. I would say a path towards mastery in hospitality, definitely.
Amazing. Andrea, what about yourself? I'll come to you with this question as well. How do you feel like this could enhance your career in the hotel environment?
So I really consider about doing one of these programs after my master, because as my colleague said, I think that is a great way to get all the knowledge that we need to be leaders in the future, to be managers, and it combines everything that I want for me specifically in the future, so I can really discover not only what I love, but what I'm good at, and which I can maybe grow in the future, and also to be engaged with a company. So I think it's something that I will really take into account when I finish my master.
Amazing. And finally, Dimitar, as one of our future students and looking to move into the hotel industry, what can this bring to you? What do you feel like you could get from an MIT program that will take your career further and drive you to the aspiration of potentially being a general manager one day, let's say?
Well, Conor, earlier you touched on the generational aspect of this discussion. Well, sometimes as a part of Generation Z, I feel like there is a lot of knowledge that we gather on this age. And the way I see it, this MIT could be the transition part of my career, where it's filled with intensive training. It's filled with time-consuming activities, right? There is costs. However, I see it as a kind of fast track to leadership and to just seeing what capable people in the industry can do, and obviously we can only learn from them and as well show our ideas to the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alan, finally, I want to kind of flip this question a little bit for our students here and many individuals in the audience looking at maybe MIT programs. But in terms of management in general, through your journey and through your own experience, what do you think is key for aspirational managers to know in terms of skills or just about the journey itself?
It's managing people, definitely. This is the most difficult part and the most important part at the same time. And I believe this is a key for any successful leader to succeed on any kind of task or goal achievement to do. And the MIT program gives you this opportunity either to travel somewhere, either to try different departments. It is really something that I am telling you, I wish probably if I was doing MIT like 10 years ago, maybe I would be area vice president or whatever by this time now, let's say like that. But we have to really understand, and the future students really have to take in their minds that there are categories of somebody that, as Andrea said, she likes food and beverage, she loves food and beverage. Maybe Andrea will go and do this MIT, let's say like that, or a potential student, and he will experience different department and he will fall in love with something different, a different division or different department. So it's really opens you, it's like an open book. You go, you choose, you experience, and you choose what is your real passion is. Because hospitality is all about passion. If you have it, you will succeed 100%. But to answer your question, is definitely the understanding of people and the culture element of that. It's very strong, because the more you know, the easier you can understand people.
Absolutely, some great advice there. And I think just to wrap up this topic this evening, guys, firstly, thank you all to you for joining us this evening. Thank you to our audience for taking part with their questions and for comments, and for joining us from all around the world as well. Just as we are at Les Roches ourselves, this is a truly global industry. And I think to wrap up some of the key areas that we've discussed tonight, one of the biggest factors of management training programs is skill development. Management training programs provide you with the opportunity to develop a wide range of skills that are essential for you to be a successful manager, to have a successful management career. We've been talking about leadership, communication, problem solving, critical thinking, decision making, and project management. It's also been, that fast track career progression. If you're looking for a rapid career progression, it can support in that accelerated learning curve to prepare you for higher level managerial positions. We've discussed about the networking opportunities as well. We've had Charlotte and Andrea and Dimitar mention around the key aspects of networking and how you can really connect with senior leaders in the industry, understand their experiences. And I think that is a really strong aspect of these programs that really brings something to your learning experience. The exposure to different functions and different industries, being able to move into different business units, as Reda has mentioned previously and talked about. I think that is something that is really key. You're learning all of the different areas, and finally, that personal growth and self-awareness as well. In the management training programs, you're going to be you're facing real world business scenarios. You're making decisions, you're learning from success and failures. And this experience can only help you understand your strengths, understand the areas for improvement, ultimately leading to enhanced personal and professional growth. So I think, to close and in summary, being a management trainee offers numerous benefits. including skill development, fast-track career progression, networking opportunities, exposure, and personal growth. And these can only be advantages to significantly contribute to your professional development and lay that strong foundation for your successful managerial career. So I hope you guys have found this webinar insightful this evening. Thank you very much again for joining us. Finally, thank you to our guests. Thank you to Andrea, Charlotte, Dimitar, Reda, and Leticia. We look forward to welcoming you to our Les Roches Marbella campus in around 2 weeks' time. We hope that you are ready to join us and take part in this wonderful experience that you're going to be going on. Alan, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's really appreciated. We always love to connect with our alumni, and I hope that I am the director for the Southern Europe and MENA region. So hopefully, when I am able to travel to Egypt, I will be able to come and visit you in person.
Reach out.
Absolutely. Super. Well, thank you very much for your time,
Good luck
guys.
to everyone from my side. Good luck to future students, and enjoy this process, guys.
Brilliant. Have a nice evening, everyone, and we will look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.